Okay, now the second one is more important, really, and it lays pretty much on the backs of the account executive. It's a difficult situation because it's not a common situation, but when it occurs, it's problematic and it creates a little bit of an issue. So you guys all know what debt consolidation is, right? Debt consolidation is another word for credit suicide. Okay, it just is. All right. Debt consolidation equal sign credit suicide. Okay. How does debt consolidation work at a high level? And Tom did it in his early years. He did it when he was prior to his mortgage business. So he'll talk a little bit more about kind of the foundational part about debt consolidation. But when somebody signs up for debt consolidation, they tell you stop paying your credit cards or stop paying the accounts we're going to go after. So if there's 6 or 7 or 8 credit cards, let's just say for discussions purposes, there's $40,000 in debt. The credit consolidation company will say stop paying those credit cards. Why do they do that? Because they want a 30-day, then they want a 60-day, then they want a 90-day. And what do they do when they get the fourth? They're back 120 days on their payment. The credit consolidation people go to work and they start making the phone calls to the credit provider on your behalf and say, hey, Johnny can't pay his credit cards. Obviously, you can see that. I'm trying to help him out. Can we negotiate? Can we lower this? And that's how it works, okay? The challenge of that is they're going to end up with 6, 8, 10, however many credit cards they're looking to minimize the total amount owed or reduce the total amount owed. They're looking to do that, and all of those are going to show negatively on their credit report, and it's going to plummet their FICO score. So we do what? We go in there and we analyze a person's personal situation. The SBS team comes in and says, okay, if we can help them, let's remove these inquiries and let's help them with these accounts, right? We cannot be successful when there's active negotiations going back and forth between either the client or a representative of the client in those particular credit situations. We can't be successful. So it's oil and water. It doesn't work. Now you might say, let's just ask them if they're in, credit restoration process. We could, but it's really not one of those questions we can add because 1 out of 100 is going to say yes, and so it isn't a big enough an issue. But here's the problem: if we sell them, it's not disclosed on the front end. We go into credit restoration based on certain accounts. We're not going to be successful, and there's nobody on the planet that's going to give them any credit while they're trying to dump their credit they've got. Does that make sense? My logic dictates if I'm trying to reduce how much I owe to my credit providers, I'm not going to get any more credit. It's just not going to happen. Now, Tom can probably share with you a little bit about how to identify that, how to notice that in a credit report. Tom, why don't you tell them a little bit about FPN and how they might be able to see some signs that the person might be in a credit consolidation program.
Yeah. Thanks, Jimmy. And so just kind of quick recap, right? Debt consolidation is when an individual has a third party go in on their behalf and you put money in escrow, and then that third party, that company, then goes in and negotiates settlements with each of your creditors on your behalf. So the rule of thumb is, you generally pay back about 50% of what you owe. So I started out in the program and I owed $20,000 to these different credit card companies, and 3 to 5 years later, I will have paid back $10,000 and the debts have been settled. And so that's kind of the general idea of what debt consolidation is. So again, there's a time and a place for it. It does mean that if you're a client or a customer who is in that kind of a debt consolidation plan, then it means you'll be instructed to not make any of those payments. So for that 3 to 5 year window of time, you'll have late payment after late payment after late payment, right? You'll be accruing, multiple late payments with multiple creditors, which is why Jimmy says it's kind of credit suicide. It kind of puts you in credit, you're in like the Supermax in Colorado, type of, prison from a credit perspective. If any of you are familiar with the ADX Supermax in Colorado. So you're, so again, but again, time and a place for everything, and budgets trump, credit quality, especially for consumers. When you step out of the side of the entrepreneurial world of being an entrepreneur, if I'm a consumer and my budget is problematic and things like that, there is a time and place for this. And so in that environment, maybe it makes sense. When Jimmy says, what are some ways to identify it? Remember, guys, we're kind of talking about something that's happened 1, 2, 3 times now out of, 800 and some, sales. So it's not real common. But when you're looking at a credit profile and you see someone has currently past due, multiple late payments, it could be a trigger that says, wait a minute, I see you've got numerous credit cards here that are not only past due with a balance, but what are you doing about that? And that can kind of help you understand whether they're in a debt consolidation program or not. And you can kind of vet that out. So if you see people that are currently past due with past due balances and they're accruing late payments each and every month, it's probably not a bad idea to ask if they're in a debt consolidation plan, so to speak. And keep in mind, we won't catch it because it's not going to usually say in the credit report that they're in some sort of a third-party program, but we don't want to put anybody. I haven't built a specific piece of the algorithm to go in and kind of detect that one thing, because oftentimes it's not going to be noted on the credit report. So just kind of be mindful of it and be watching for it. Something that doesn't happen a lot, but that we want to be mindful of it. We don't want to put somebody in a program where they're not going to be successful. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
That was going to be my question, is they're going to get DQ'd 100% of the times if they're in the process of the credit consolidation, correct, Tom?